Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Byte-Sized Brief. My name is Danny,
And I'm Sterling.
and today we have several topics to get into, from an AI robot to new Android phones and etc. So let's start with this new Neo AI robot. So the idea of it is a humanoid-looking robot designed to basically do chores and help around the house. And it, it sounds good, but there is several catches with it. First of all, from what I can tell, from what I've seen, it can only do two things autonomously right now, which include waiting for guests and opening the door for them and putting a cup in the sink. Everything else will have to be scheduled for a human to control the robot at X1, which could mean security and privacy risk. And then the other thing is the price. It's around $200-$500 a month. I couldn't tell exactly because I think some websites were showing prices in a different region. But if you want to buy it, you could pay $20,000 if you have that. And before we get too far in it, what is your opinion, Sterling?
Yeah, like you were saying, it's only programmed for like two things autonomously, which is not much. I mean, think about all the things it could be able to do, but it can't get there yet. And I don't think it's a good idea for someone to remotely control your robot. I mean, I wouldn't want someone just like walking in my house from the other side of the planet. And I find that very weird. And like you said, you can buy it out for $20,000 and like a $500 a month subscription or something like that. And I think it's completely impractical. Like when you can do it yourself, I mean, yes, it'll give you peace of mind. Whenever you come home from work, all your stuff is going to be already done. But at the same time, I don't think it is a good purchase idea because it can't do it itself. And it's just really expensive. Maybe when the technology gets better, like let's say when it can do more things itself, when it can just not answer the door, when it can also like fold laundry, put laundry away, or if it can mop and sweep without controlling on the other side, that's when I think it's going to be way more useful than just, hey, you can have an assistant for $20,000 that can control through your robots. Yeah, I don't see the big point of it. And let's say this technology is cheaper. Let's say it's a $5,000 robot. Would you personally want, and let's say it's a $5,000 robot and it is now completely autonomous and it's not controlled by any humans. Would you personally want that in your own house?
I mean, I think it would be cool, but first of all, $5,000 is still a lot of money, but
Mm.
I don't know, I honestly don't know. Like, maybe, but probably not, at least at first. I mean, I don't know, this might become the next smartphone where in the future we just all have robots roaming around in our house or whatever. But like you were saying, at this stage, I don't see why you would do it, because like I said, you said it can only do two things autonomously and everything else has to be scheduled, which means some random person you don't know can see your whole entire house and it can do whatever you want. And that's like a big trust, giving some random person trust to do literally anything in your house. And I mean, for it is also a lot of money, but I mean, it is for early adopters. I mean, in the little event thing, the CEO even said this is for early adopters, but I feel like you're coming at the risk for security, and we don't know if these features will play out. What if it fails or whatever, and you just spent $20,000 or $500 a month?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now it seems completely impractical. But what's something else is impractical is apparently companies like OpenAI or AI companies, they're using jet engines to power their AI data centers. Do you know anything about that?
So apparently, OpenAI, which makes ChatGPT, is using a PE6000 gas turbines, which are turbines derived from a CF680C2 engines from, I think, like a jet or like a plane or something. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, it's
To
it's the same engine from like a Boeing 770. Like the same kinda engine as that.
Yeah, but basically, they're using this to power their servers and their data centers for ChatGPT because apparently, a data center takes, like, a lot of power, and according to all the documents I've read, it can take, like, 8 to 10 years to get the grid connections made and everything. So, apparently, companies like this are turning to gas turbines from planes to power their data centers, which is very, very weird in my opinion.
I find that very inefficient. I mean, the whole entire point of the gas turbine was to spin a fan blade to make a plane move. So it's really cool looking at the little machines that they built to keep it from flying away. So like when the engine is running, there's like giant metal posts just stuck into the ground, holding that thing so it doesn't just fly off.
Yeah, and I could see, like, something bad happening with this, like a mishap happening and it, like, takes off and it
Mhm.
destroys the whole data center or something. But, I mean, desperate times call for desperate measures.
Yeah. And, and also, do you know what's happening to the iPhones? The apparently the iPhone 17 Pros, the orange color specifically, are turning pink. So I've heard that some people think it's like isopropyl alcohol or stuff like that that's making it pink. But do you know anything about that?
So, yeah, this has been a big thing going on lately, like you said, some iPhone 17 Pro users' phones are turning pink if they have the cosmic orange color, and I also heard some reports that even the blue color is not turning pink, but turning a different color discoloration, and
Okay.
the most likely cause as of now is that people were using cleaners that have bleach or a peroxide base
Mhm.
to them, or even like alcohol. And basically, what it's doing is it's just breaking down the anodization layer on the aluminum, which then what I'm assuming is after that happens, UV rays from the sun or other stuff gets on the aluminum and changes it, or maybe it just changes after that, I'm not sure. But apparently that's why, and even on Apple's website, it says not to use that. Now, I mean, we don't know this for sure because we don't know what the people were using, but it's not too widespread of an issue, and that's most likely thing. Of course, the Pro models have never been aluminum up until now, so that's probably why it's such a big thing because people didn't, have to know, it wasn't a thing back then.
So was this not a problem with the titanium models?
Yeah, there has not been any reports of titanium models. I have the 15 Pro, which is titanium, and I mean, I keep it in a case, but it's a clear case, and I've never had any discoloration to it or anything, and there was never any discoloration to the aluminum, I mean, the stainless steel ones either. So, now, the base models are also made out of aluminum, but not on the back. So, I mean, I don't know if people have the issue then, and since it's the base model, people probably didn't blow it up as much or something, but I'm not sure.
Okay, and do you think it's possible for Apple to switch back to titanium in the future so this problem doesn't arise again?
I honestly don't see them doing this. If they did, it wouldn't be next year because they're not going to, at least right away, go back on their decision to switch to aluminum. And also, if they did, I think they would have to change the design because, I mean, I guess they could make it more of a glossy titanium, but at least the older titanium with that brush design wouldn't look that good in my opinion with the plateau and everything. I mean, they might, I don't know, like, maybe for because I've heard, like, rumors about the 20th edition anniversary, and I'm sure they're switching to something different then, but yeah.
Hmm. Okay. So, do you think this is a big issue? Like, should you be worried that your phone's discoloring, or is it just like something that you can just pass by? It just be a different color. It doesn't like affect the strength of it at all.
Well, I mean, I don't have one, so I don't know, but I don't think it's that widespread of an issue. I just think if you do get one, number 1, put a case on it, number 2, just don't use cleaners like that, and Yeah.
Okay. Also, there's a new phone that just came out by for nothing. It's called the Nothing 3A Lite, which is very confusing because their whole entire lineup was like the Nothing Phone, Nothing Phone 1, Nothing Phone 2. That made sense. But now let me read you the lineup now. It's Nothing Phone 3, Nothing Phone 3A Pro, which is not as pro as the Nothing 3. And then there's a Nothing 3A regular, which is not as good as the Pro, but not as good as the 3. And then we have the CMF 2 Pro, which is not the same at all. And then we have the CMF Phone 2 Pro, a different version. And now we have the Nothing Phone 3A Lite. Where does it fall in that line?
Honestly, with the amount of phones they release, I have no idea. Why do we need 700 different budget phones, like, and everything? Like, I mean, it's pointless, honestly. Another thing that I found interesting is I don't think it's available in the US at the Phone 3A Lite, at least now, because if you go to the US website, it's just not on there. And when I searched it, it brought me to the UK website. So that was kind of weird. But first, I want to go over some of the specs of this phone. So it has the MediaTek Dynasty 7300 Pro 5G, and I don't know a lot of the Snapdragon Android chips, but comparing it to a chip from an iPhone from 2021, the A15, I searched it, and the A15 is still more powerful than this. Now, this is a low-range Android chip, but, I mean, even a chip from 4 years ago is still more powerful than that, so not the best chip. Now, looking at the cameras, the main camera, 50-megapixel wide camera, that's a good camera. They had, examples on their websites, and the examples looked decent, but then you have the 8-megapixel ultra-wide camera, and even just from the examples on their website without zooming in, it literally looked horrible. Like,
Yep.
it looks like a phone from 2007, and then it has a 2-megapixel macro camera, which, again, did not look very good,
Completely
and
unusable at that point.
and it also only has IP54 rating, which I'm not exactly sure the metering for that, but that's quite a substantial downgrade from the normal IP68 that most modern phones have. So, yeah.
Yeah. The phone is completely impractical. I mean, especially because there are so many better phones out there. You can get a used, let's say you don't want an iPhone in this scenario. You can just get a used regular Samsung phone or a Google Pixel. Those would be so much better in every single way. So what Nothing is doing right now is they're releasing phones that are supposed to be cheap because they're not good. Well, they're okay. They're not that good. They would be good if they were released like 7 years ago. They would be really good. But they're just lacking everything like a modern expensive phone should have. I personally have a Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. I got it for $400 instead of $1,400. And if your phone starts at $400, how much does the 3A Lite? Is it 250
I
for
think it's
3A Lite?
299 or
How much?
something. I think it's 299, although it's not available in the
Okay.
US, so it might be different price if it was in USD, but
Okay. So that means if you were to like get it used, it would be like $100 used. So it's not a good choice to like buy a mid-range phone or a low-end phone when you can just buy a used flagship phone for the same thing for the iPhone. Why get the iPhone, is it 16e, when you can just get a used iPhone 14 Pro for a much better phone and basically the same price?
And actually, even the 15 Pros used are actually sometimes, like, cheaper or the same price as the 16e, so it's obviously a very clear option. And then just going back to the lineup, like, where does this fit? If you're let's say you're a normal person, or especially, like, an elderly person that's just trying to get a cheap phone, and they go there and they see all these different phones that are budget, most of them budget, they are going to be totally confused as to what, like like because they have so many budget phones that are all around the same price, So,
Mhm.
it's honestly just pointless. I don't even know why they decided to do this. I think they should have, like, a budget phone or maybe 2 budget phones, flagship phone, and then, like, a Pro or something like that, not 8,000 budget phones and, like, a singular flagship phone.
Yeah, even their flagship phone isn't that good. I mean,
Yeah,
it's $800, but it's still not that good.
mhm. And another thing, just going back to the flagship phone, they took away the glyph. I mean, they have the little glyph display, but the glyph used to be, like, a big part of the nothing thing, and they took it away. It's also there's a singular glyph LED on this new phone. It's just so stupid in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that would be like Apple removing the dynamic island at this point, just removing it completely or maybe removing Face ID. It was their signature, like, feature, and they just removed it.
Mhm. And so before we move on to next topic, what's your overall opinion on the phone?
I personally would say don't buy it. It's completely impractical in every way. If you really want a used phone, go for a used iPhone or use Samsung or Google Pixel. Those would be so much better in every single way. And you say shopping for a used phone is dangerous. I don't really think so. You always have like return policies and stuff that you can always use. So let's say if your screen doesn't work, you return and get a new one. Let's say if the camera doesn't work, return and get a new one. A lot of people like a used phone, it could be broken. That's really not the case.
Yeah. And moving on that, apparently Google is putting AI in space. What do you know about this?
Okay, so Google has decided that to start a project called Project Suncatcher. It is where they're going to put satellites in orbit around the Earth and they're going to put AI data centers on it. So now they're not just like powering it with wind turbines or like plane engines on ground. They're going to be powering it in outer space. They're going to try to use solar panels to power the whole entire operation. But why would they use it in space instead of just, like, solar panels on the ground? What are the benefits of having it in space, and why did they decide to do it?
Well, first of all, these companies must be so desperate if they're using wind turbines and putting it in space. That's all I'm saying. But I mean, as far as why would they do it, I guess maybe they get more energy in space because it's closer to the sun and you don't have the atmosphere in the way. I'm not sure.
Mm.
Or maybe to save room because it's not on Earth or something. I don't know. Hey, you got good cooling up in space.
Yeah, but is it completely impractical? Like, let's say if you are doing, internet query, let's say you're asking, "Hey, Gemini, what's the weather for today?" And then it's processed in outer space. Wouldn't that be extremely slow to go from satellite base station up to the satellite, process on the satellite, and back down?
So I mean, I think first of all, if it's fast, it would probably be very expensive. But I mean, it could be fast because I mean, Starlink is using satellites, and I mean, I don't have it, but some of my family members do, and I've heard it's okay. So I mean, I guess it could be fast, and I mean, as far as it being unpractical, I can see it being both ways. Like, I can see it kind of being practical, but mostly unpractical. 'Cause like you said, speed and then cost and then, like, what if there's a DNS error, like, on the
Yeah.
AWS outage? How are they gonna fix that? How they're gonna have to send a shuttle up there, Elon Musk's gonna have to ride up there and fix it.
Yeah, and if they put the satellite up there, let's say there's a new AI technology that comes out that runs on these new GPUs. What are they gonna do then? Do they have to scrap that old satellite and then put up a new one? I mean, having it up there, they can't change anything about it. When it's up there, it's up there. Anything goes wrong, it goes wrong, and if it's out of date, it's out of date. They can't really change anything.
Yeah, I mean, actually thinking about it more, it just sounds more like a more bad idea because of just how expensive it would be to constantly have spacecrafts going up to it and updating it and how hard that would be in space. So, honestly, I just don't really seeing it being a good idea, honestly, in my opinion.
But hey, maybe it's going to be powering the next Gemini in Google Maps. So Google is releasing Gemini in Google Maps. And I have some mixed thoughts about it. So let's say you're trying to plan a trip to New Mexico. If you're trying to plan a trip there, you can ask Gemini, "Hey, where are some places I can stop along the way? Oh, what's a good like restaurant I can stop by? Or what has the best way without any traffic?" But in my opinion, doesn't Google Maps already kind of do that? Do we actually need Gemini in Google Maps?
So, I mean, when I honestly was expecting it to be more, so I looked at some of the stuff, and from what I could tell, you can be like, "Hey, route me to this area, find vegan restaurants around me," and it'll, like, recommend the most near option, but, I mean, I would think that would be something that you don't need Gemini to do, like, just the regular Google Assistant or something, because you can even do that with Siri. I mean, it will recommend places and you just tell it which one, but I feel like it shouldn't be something that you have to have Gemini for or something, or at least they're marketing it or something like that, but, I mean, I think it's good, but I don't think it's, like, a huge feature.
Mhm. And so most my idea why they're putting Geminis in it is because they're removing Google Assistant from all their products. Like my phone, no longer has Google Assistant. My watch, no longer Google Assistant. My smart speaker is about to get an update in about a week and it's going not run Google Assistant anymore. All their products, they're switching over to Gemini. So it's like a better ecosystem or whatever. But for maps, I don't really see the use in it. I mean, yes, AI it could be super useful in some scenarios. But at the same time, they already have made Google Assistant be able to do most all that stuff already. Do they really need an extra step where a Google Assist or Gemini has to process every single request? Because Gemini requests aren't as fast as Google Assistant was because Google Assistant had a set instructions. Let's say if you told Google Assistant to do this for you, it knew how to do that. With Gemini, it has to take what you're saying, process it into AI language, then process its requested output, and then act on it, which is so much more steps. And overall, it's significantly slower than Google Assistant originally was.
And the thing is with that, doing it on Gemini, you're not really getting a better result. I mean, basically same result, maybe slightly better. And my theory is they're either rebranding it to Gemini and it's not maybe Gemini or something, or it really is Gemini, but they're probably just doing this because they want to make everything Gemini, not something's Google Assistants. What I can kind of see why, so it's more less confusing or something, but I don't really think it needs a whole AI model just for that.
Okay. And Gemini's coming to Google Maps, but also Gemini is coming to Apple Intelligence. What do you know about that, Danny?
So, hang on, let me get my notes up here. So, apparently,
Absolutely.
Apple and Google are working on a deal right now to have a special model of Gemini under the hood power the new Siri 2.0 in when they finally release it. And so I apparently it's gonna have 1.2 trillion parameters and a architecture called Mix of Experts, which is supposedly going to make it be able to do high parameter things, keeping costs low. So, what do you think about this?
I'm thinking it is a good thing because Apple Intelligence has really been suffering from, hey, Apple Intelligence can't do any of the stuff that they said it can do a year ago. Like all the advertisements for Apple Intelligence, they had to retract all of them because Apple Intelligence still cannot do those things they promised. And this is their step trying to get it to that point. These Gemini's already in Android phones, and it works pretty well. Anything I ask it to do, it can pretty much do. I can ask it to look up the last score of some football game, and then send it to my contacts like Jim, Bob, and Charles, and then it'll do that for me. And but for Apple, they're wanting it to run on device, like they said. When they originally had Apple Intelligence come out, they say it's going to run on device. It's going to run on device, except for some things that will be put to the cloud. Are they still going to go for that goal where it's running on device, or are they going to make it all cloud based?
So, from what I heard, at least the Siri is going to run on Apple's private cloud compute servers, so it will be more secure than a traditional server. I also heard it would kind of gatekeep it from Google because I guess they don't want Google to know it. So, I mean, it would be cool to see it run on device, but that would be very computational hungry. So, and I don't know if Gemini runs on device on Android phones. So, I don't know if
It's It depends what you're doing on your device. If you're telling it to do simple tasks like change the volume or like change screen brightness, that happens all on device. And on Google Pixels, it comes with Gemini Nano, which a lot of your requests are processed on device. And then for Samsung, there's Galaxy AI. Galaxy AI, most all of it's on device, besides certain image editing tools. And then for Apple, I feel like they can do some things on device. But I think it'll be a very similar situation where whenever like Apple Intelligence asks you for, hey, can I ask ChatGPT this question? I think it'll be pretty much the same as that.
yeah, and also one thing that will be interesting is if this happens is, will Apple stop using ChatGPT? Will, like, everything become Gemini, like, if it's a feature that uses a third-party AI, or will you be able to choose? And, overall, it would be nice if Apple made their own model, but I am happy that we will get this, so be good, and maybe Apple, I'm not sure, this is just, like, speculation, but maybe Apple is working with Google to make a totally new model or, like, have base of Gemini and add stuff to it or something, I don't know. Um, but, yeah, most of everything runs on device. Writing tools, notification summary, all run on device if you don't have Wi-Fi or cellular. And I will say those things have actually been getting quite better lately, but when it comes to image generation and, of course, Siri, those things are still not good. Image Playground is still very useless. Genmoji's okay, and then Siri is still stupid. Like, I asked it something and it tries to call 911 when I didn't tell it to call 911. So, I mean, it's a good thing, and there was actually some earlier rumors talking more about third-party AIs, which might lead more into that you could choose between ChatGPT and Gemini for the other things beyond the new Siri. And I also think it'll be interesting just to see how Apple will market it. And also talking back about Galaxy I and Gemini, it might just kind of be like that where Gemini and the own company's AI. So Gemini and Apple Intelligence, Gemini and Galaxy AI, kind of like that. So, I mean, maybe this is just something Google is going to do now. I mean, Apple does already have a deal with Google to make it the default engine when you use Safari. So yeah.
Yeah, and Google is actually paying Apple $20 billion to keep it as the default search engine. And looking at what Apple wants for Gemini integrated, it's $1 billion, which is kind of a discrepancy, in my opinion, because, okay, so Google Search on iPhones is worth $20 billion, but Google Gemini on Apple Intelligence is worth $1 billion. I don't think $1 billion is enough comparing it to the $20 billion for Google Search.
Yeah, that is kind of, you know, in my opinion, I think Gemini would be more worth it. So I don't know if they'll increase it. I don't know if they'll um like maybe lower the Google search thing or like cut it halfway. I'm not sure.
Okay. But what will not cost $20 billion is Apple's new budget laptop. Okay, so it's rumored right now that Apple is going to release a budget laptop. Okay, and at this point, it's almost guaranteed. We see internal codes about it and everything, and it's going to cost anywhere between $600 to $700. I don't know what to think about this because this computer is running a iPhone chip, not a M series laptop chip. So, Danny, what do you think about it so far?
So, like you said, budget MacBook around 600 7. I've heard people say it might be 500, but I think it won't be that cheap. Anyways, yeah. So the rumored specs are a A18 Pro chip, or I would think it would be the A19 Pro chip with probably 8 or 12 gigs of RAM, maybe 16. I don't know, Apple has gone away from 8 gigabytes of RAM finally, so it might be that. It's also rumored to have a new modern design. It will have, the Apple style trackpad, keyboard, and display. It it should have good battery life, and of course, it'll have macOS. And my take on it is I do think for Mac users, it will be a very good thing, especially if you don't want an iPad, you want more of a traditional laptop space type of thing. And for some Windows users, I think it might also be appealing because you're getting the efficiency of Apple Silicon and reliability. And the main reason why you'd buy a Mac is performance and just the Mac experience. So if you want the Mac experience, this would be the best lowest price. Now, yes, it does have an iPhone chip, which isn't going to be as good as some of the um, um, ARM Windows chips. But the thing is with since Apple makes the chip, it will be so efficient that it will still perform well. And yeah, that's basically my take. What do you think about it?
I think that it is a good attempt from Apple. I mean, getting a laptop that I could actually afford, I would actually want to try it out, to be honest, because I know how efficient Apple processors are. I mean, they just sit on power, and especially because it's an iPhone chip that is significantly smaller and it's significantly more power efficient than any other M series chip. I personally think that this is going to be the longest lasting laptop on the market, like ever. To see like 20, maybe 40 hours of battery life, in my opinion, is not going to be something that is superficious. I do think that it will be completely able to do that. But there's also mild concerns. Like the display is rumored to be not great. It's still probably going to be decent, but it's like I think they said 300 nit IPS display. It's not, oh, not IPS. Yeah, LCD IPS. So it's not going to be that good, especially comparing it to regular Macs. For the trackpad, if it has the original trackpad from the other MacBooks, that'll be amazing. But I don't know if it's going to have the same kind or it's going to have a little lower down version of it. And to hit that price point, they're going to have to cut corners. Do you think that it's not going to be like a aluminum build? Do you think it's going to be like plastic? What do you think they're going to do to be able to cut the costs? I know the chip is one way, but they can't cut down $400 from just the chip.
So, first of all, I would be strongly surprised if they use plastic, especially for something like this. I would not think they would use plastic. I think they'll use aluminum. It will be smaller, so that's one way they could cut down on side, like you said. The display won't be as good. That's another way. I do again think strongly think that they will keep the same trackpad and keyboard because Apple is known especially for their trackpads. So
Mm.
I think they're going to keep what Macs are known for and then cut down on some things that aren't, you know, what Macs are known for, like the display and other things like that. So, and then of course the chip. So, yeah,
I mean, comparing this laptop to, let's say, the HP
I think
OmniBook,
it was the
could you have a normal
15.
name? Copilot Plus PC5. It has Snapdragon X Plus, not X Elite, but the X Plus. The X Plus is an okay efficient processor. It's not too powerful though, and it's
Yeah,
going right now for $550 to $700.
and just going back to the processor on that laptop real quick, I looked up the benchmarks and okay, so in multi-thread rating, the processor does beat the A18 Pro at 20 2,001,346 versus 1,002,891. But then on the single core rating, the A18 Pro actually beats it out at 4,101 versus 3,091. So the A18 Pro is slightly better in single core, and the chip is also slightly better in multi-core. So there it is give or take, but I'm not worried about performance personally just because of the efficiency of that. So, yeah. And also talking about operating systems in Windows, do you think Windows users will be willing to switch to macOS?
Honestly, I do think so. For Windows users, they have been being constantly bombarded with problems. Like, they're just making Windows 11 worse and worse and worse with every single update. I mean, even I, using this, used to be Chromebook. I made it Windows 11 because I couldn't do anything with Chrome OS. It is just getting worse. It's not getting better. And now that Windows 10 is now unofficially supported, everyone's switching to something else. Maybe Mac, Linux, or even older versions of Windows like Windows 7. But at the same time, there's those people who just want a computer that can play games. It can play any software they want, guaranteed, no problem. So going back to that HP OmniBook, comparing it directly to the new budget Apple laptop, it will have probably a higher resolution screen, and it's going to be OLED, where the Mac is going to have like an LCD display. It's also probably going to have more RAM and more storage. The thing is, it runs Windows, and a lot of people do not like Windows. I'm one of those where I will use it because I have to use it. If there's something else like macOS, I don't like macOS personally. I've used it. I've not been a fan of it, but we don't have any other options. If you don't want Windows, you can go Mac. You can go Linux. I tried Linux, and it was I I I couldn't do it. It was too. Why won't this do anything? It's just like it doesn't do anything. But whereas Mac can do stuff, it's very limited stuff. Like you can do these set of things, much like a Chromebook. Well, of course, more so than a Chromebook, though. So in conclusion, I think a lot of Windows people will stick with Windows, even though Windows is not going great. But I don't think it's going to be surprising if a lot of Windows users are sick of it and they do switch to Mac. And this budget MacBook, it will be a great option for them.
And real quick, going back to the display, it will be OLED, but I wouldn't be surprised if the MacBook has more pixels because Windows PCs do have some history of not having much pixels. And going back to me of what OS I used to have, I've had like two Windows PCs. My first one was a Asus cheap one. I I was so excited when Windows 11 came out and then I installed it. It was horrible. And then I had a
Yeah.
HP like I mean, no, a Dell, like, XPS something. It was an older one, it had an i5, and, again, it had Windows. I really didn't like Windows just because of it was first of all, it was complicated. It wasn't too complicated, it was complicated, and just the Windows and Microsoft things, and also it was slow. And then I got a Mac, and I like macOS better because it's more simple while still offering some of the more complex things. And I know you don't like macOS, but I'm just curious, what are the main reasons why you don't like macOS?
It's just the window management. When I use macOS, they didn't have window snapping. That was a deal breaker for me. I absolutely need window snapping. I'm not going to redrag my window to the correct size. And then there was also like the traffic light interaction where there's the red, green, and yellow, and then the red doesn't actually close the app. It puts it to sleep like yellow does too. So I didn't understand how yellow and red did the exact same thing, sort of. I couldn't figure it out. And then the animations just took forever. I would minimize something and go like the weird tornado thing down into the bottom. I don't like that. It just takes too much time. And it felt very limited. If I go into a settings menu, I expect there to be 100 settings I can play with. And there was like 5. I know when a Mac is supposed to work really well and giving them a lot of settings may ruin some things, but I like the ability to change 100 different things on it.
So, as far as Windows snapping, they added that, like, 2 years ago. It actually does work very well, which I was very glad because that was one of the things that I missed from Windows, and it works very well. And then when it comes to animations, I don't know what version you use. For me, they're not a problem. They've got it, at least on mine, they're very fast, like, less than a sec, like, maybe 50 milliseconds. Also, I believe there is a setting, yeah, there is a setting where you can turn that off if you didn't like that. And then, um, I mean, there is a lot, at least in the most modern version, there's a good bit of settings, not as much as Windows, but it offers at least half or more of the settings now. And another and I also there's a lot the App Store, in my opinion, is better than the Microsoft Store. You also have iPhone and iPad apps just like it has Android apps. And another great thing is that when it comes to downloading apps outside the store, it literally works exactly the same as Windows. So that was a good thing because, like, for instance, there's Windows S mode, which prevents you from downloading things from the web. There's no such thing on Mac as that. You just download from the web and or the App Store and um yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Then the last Mac I used was the Touch Bar Mac, which was that running an Intel processor, right?
Yes, it was.
Yes. Maybe it was just because of the Intel processor was not great, because I remember everyone complaining how bad the Intel processors were in Macs because they overheated all the time because there was some like proper
Yeah, it
cooling or
was
something like
not
that.
optimized for macOS.
Yeah, and now that they switched the M series chips, I'm assuming if I were to test that out, I would find that performance wouldn't be a problem anymore. I would find that window snapping now exists. So I think there's a good possibility that if I were to go to macOS, I probably wouldn't mind it. But there's also the possibility of me like, I can't do this, I can't do that, because I'm used to doing this, I'm used to doing that. I'm sure there's a way to work around it, but I don't want to have to do that. And a lot of people are just going to stick with what they know. Like that's a lot of reasons why iPhone users will never go to Android because they're used to it. And that's why a lot of Motorola users won't switch from Motorola, even though most Motorola's are trash. So, so it's like a familiarity thing where if you know something, you're going to keep using it. But a lot of Windows people, yet again, are done with Windows for being very inefficient, slow, breaks a lot of times. I mean, if I'm just using something regular on my computer, like even before I started this meeting, my microphone just would not work. I had to turn Bluetooth on, turn Bluetooth off, and then re-enable Bluetooth for Bluetooth microphone to work, which is shouldn't happen. Because on my, let's say my phone, if I were doing this on my phone through like Samsung DeX, it would have worked perfectly fine because I've done it before.
So anyways, that is all the topics we have for today. And thank everyone for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, guys.